Well, mine kind of goes along with Yahtzee, but for us grandkids, Grandma was the one who taught us how to play all the good games, right? When I think about Grandma, I think two things come to mind. The first thing is fun. We always had fun when we went to Grandma's. She used to sneak us candy bars in her secret stash. And when our hands were too little to hold all the cards, Grandma made one of these. Remember these? Yeah. She took two lids from, I don't know, something. Sewed them together with a button. We could stick all the cards in, and then we could play Uno with Grandma. When we ended up with 800 cards in our hand because Grandma was really good at Uno. So we dug this out because when my boys were little, we were playing Uno and they couldn't hold all the cards. I said, I have to make one of Grandma's card holders. So we have these at home too, don't we, boys?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, and the second thing we always think about with Grandma is food. And Grandma loved to bake, she loved to make big meals. And a few months ago, well actually for years, Katie and I have been saying, we've got to get Grandma's recipes in a cookbook. We have to. But you know, you have babies and you work and you're busy and things happen. But a few months ago, I knew my husband was going to be deploying and I said, I'm going to have some extra time. It would be nice for me to have something to do. So she snuck into Grandma's and got the recipe box, shipped it to me. And I went through and pulled them all out and got them all kind of sorted. She did all the legwork because Grandma didn't write down very specific instructions. It was bake. Okay. So I texted my sister, how long do I have to bake the white sugar cookies for and at what temperature? So Katie wrote up a foreword for the cookbook. And she wanted to read it today, but she didn't think she'd be able to read it. So let's see. Okay, we titled the cookbook In the Kitchen with Gram because most of us have many memories of the time we spent in the kitchen with her. I spent a long time typing in all the recipes from Gram's cards, trying to decipher just how much a dash or a pinch was, or holding it up and trying to read the writing after it had been dripped on with water, and handing it to my husband going, can you tell me how much does that say? Let's see. I asked Kate to write the dedication for the book, and she wrote about one of the special times she shared with Graham in the kitchen. We felt that a lot of it still pertains today, but this time there's a difference, because this time there's an end to the story. Kate readily admits she would be a blubbering mess if she tried to read this, so I will share her thoughts with you today. As I sit here thinking about Grandma and the influence she's had on my life, one word comes to mind, and that word is pickles. I know. Of all the things I've done with her, that's all I can think of? Well, let me explain. See, I spent one summer making pickles with Grandma, and boy, did I learn how long it takes to make a pickle. It started with Grandpa planting these tiny little seeds and watering them and nurturing them until he decided they were just the right size. Then he walked through the prickly vines to pick them as they grabbed at his legs and tangled up his shoelaces. It was hot, and he was sweating and wishing he hadn't planted quite so many all those months ago. But he finishes filling the 5-gallon buckets and hands them over to Granny, as he affectionately called her. Now that's where the real work comes in. Once it's home, it's easy to see they need a really good washing, so she took them into the laundry room, gave them a soak in the tub, until they were shiny and their green skin glows. Their imperfections become obvious, but that's okay. She overlooks those as she decides what kind of pickle that cucumber's going to be. Is she in the mood for sour dills or sweet gherkins? Either way, she better be ready to spend hours turning those little cucumbers into pickles, because at this stage, they're very needy. She gives them a good soaking in the brine and spices before more washing and soaking. Time passes and she wakes up one morning and peeks in, decides they're ready to pack. Now here comes the hard part. Cucumbers grow free on the vine and have so many different shapes. Trying to pack some of those funky shaped cukes into a jar can be an Olympic event. But with patience and a lot of perseverance, she finally gets them all packed and lined up ready for their final bath. She pours the hot brine over them, filled with her secret spices, and puts the lids on before wiping down the outside, and she's done. But is she? Nope, you guessed it. They need to sit in that jar and absorb some more brine. And so she sets them down on the shelf in her cool basement and waits some more, dusting the tops every once in a while and rotating them. Last year's to the front, this year's to the back. Pretty soon after a month, or a year, or in Grandma's case, 10 years, she opens the jar, pulls out a pickle, and says, now it's ready. So my question is today, are you a sour dill, a sweet gherkin, or both? When I think back over the time I spent with Gram, I know I've been both. When I originally wrote this forward several months ago, I didn't think I'd made it to the now it's ready stage. I felt like I still had some sitting to do on the shelf in the cool basement with the old curtain hanging in front of me, protecting me, and absorbing the brine she poured over me. I didn't think I was ready, but she did, because last Monday I looked into her eyes and saw her say, "Now you're ready." So, as we sit here today and reminisce and celebrate the impact Grandma made in all of our lives, I think about the 3 little pickles she was working so hard on in my own home. I know I have a lot of dusting of tops and rotating to do with them in order to make them into the pickles she wanted them to be. It's my greatest wish today that you think about the kind of pickles she intended you to be, and then I hope you smile knowing just how much work went into you.
And that would be, and Grandma didn't like pickles. And she didn't like them. That would be a eulogy in itself, ladies. What an amazing, beautiful